Hey, it's been a while. Hope you've been well. Me? Oh, can't complain. I know. I said I'd be uploading the Let's Play every week as I tackled this brilliant diamond hardcore Nuzlocke. The late gamer was about to play another game right on release and upload regularly. But then I realized, I'm in the architectural field first and a gamer second. It's even in the channel description. I was starting to feel pretty tired between work, regularly scheduled recordings, and maintaining everything else necessary for a healthy life. So I decided to mix things up. This channel started out as a fun way to share what I'm up to when time allowed it. I felt that I'd be compromising the potential of the video if I made myself play, and that definitely isn't the mindset to have for a challenge as tough as this one. So I decided I'd play and record at my leisure, and compile the whole adventure down into one long video, similar to the supercuts I created at the end of my previous adventures. I have a bunch of ideas for videos that I plan on working on whenever I reasonably can, and lots of shorts that'll pop up whenever something cool happens. But on to the Nuzlocke at hand. It's an extremely hardcore Nuzlocke. You know the rules, especially if you've been here before. But if you haven't, I can only catch the first Pokemon in each area. Only Sinnoh Pokemon or Pokemon that gained Sinnoh evolutions are eligible. Use Pokemon you rarely or never use. Any areas that do not have any eligible Pokemon are skipped, no encounter. A Pokemon is permanently boxed if it faints in battle. No items are allowed in battle, with the exception of held items. Level caps are enforced this time. I match the next gym leader's ace and limit the team's level to the average level of the Elite Four and Champion's ace. With the rules set, let's dive right into it. After meeting up with Barry to discuss the broadcast we saw on the Red Gyarados, we have the genius idea of heading to the nearby Lake Verity to find a Pokemon just like it. Surely nothing bad will— Holy shit, did Barry just use instant transmission? Anyway, upon making it to the lake, we see an abandoned briefcase. Finders keepers, baby! We head over to collect our spoils when we're ambushed by some Starly. Luckily the case has Pokeballs inside, so we're able to collect our first partner. I've played the Sinnoh titles a lot in the past, but the starter I basically never chose was Chimchar. Not for any particular reason. I think all three starters here are phenomenal. We make short work of the winged menace, and a girl ends up returning for the case. It's too late. The Finders Keeper's ruling is absolute. Nevertheless, I speak to the original owner, and he lets us keep Chimchar. With Chimchar officially in tow, I go ahead and name him Wukong. He has a naughty nature, plus attack and minus special defense. Not too bad, all things considered. One Pokédex and tutorial later, and this Nuzlocke is officially on. I make a beeline for Route 201 where we catch a Starly that I nickname Raptare. They have the mild nature, plus special attack and minus defense. Pretty bad for a Staraptor. Staraptor is a prime example of a Pokemon that I use a lot, but we need every friend we could get at this stage of the game, so they'll be sticking around for the time being. I also head back to Lake Verity where we catch God himself, a Bidoof I make sure to nickname Our Lord. I personally count the starter as being obtained in Sandgem Town since this is where Rowan's lab is located. Our Lord has a quirky nature, no stat changes. God being quirky seems oddly fitting. After battling hordes of Bidoof, we finally made our encounter for Route 202, a Kricketot that I catch and name Xylo. Xylo has the careful nature, plus special defense and minus special attack. Nothing to write home about, but it is eventually going to become a Cricketoon, which is also nothing to write home about. With the team standing strong at 4 members, we make our way through Route 202, defeating trainers as we go. The forced XP share eliminates the need to grind, but I have a feeling that it'll also make things difficult for us as far as level caps go. We arrive in Jubilife City and are greeted by Dawn. She's impressed that we managed to catch 4 Pokemon already and lets us know that Barry's in the school. I let this businessman here know that there are clowns infesting the city and he gives us our very own Poketch in exchange. Pretty good deal. Not wanting to waste time, I head for Route 204 where we make our next encounter, a Badoo that I catch and name Mamoru because Roserade reminds me of a certain tuxedo mask. Roserade is a Pokemon I've never used before, so this little guy will be a mainstay on the team. Mamoru has a jolly nature, plus speed and minus special attack. This is pretty unfortunate as Roserade seems like it's much better suited to special attacks. The team gets a brief stint of training in before we finally head to the school. We give Barry the parcel his mom wanted us to deliver, a town map for him and myself, and we challenge 2 trainers in the school as well. They both have an Abra on their team that know Charge Beam of all things. I lead with Xylo, whose stab Struggle Bug and Pound is enough to take them out. Struggle Bug lowers special attack, which was important to offset the special attack increase that Charge Beam can provide. At this stage of the game, no one on the team is fast enough to outspeed the Abra, so things could have gotten out of hand quickly if I led with anything other than Xylo, and maybe Mamoru who resists the Charge Beam attack. Xylo's health drops as low as 5 in the battle with the second trainer, but with no losses, I'm counting my blessings. We fortunately received the TMs for workup in exchange for our efforts, a pretty good move that boosts attack and special attack by 1 stage. Right after that harrowing battle, we immediately get into another battle with our impatient rival Barry. Barry leads with a Starly of his own, and we send out Wukong to handle it. Starly takes the initiative with quick attacks, but 2 embers from Wukong is enough to take it out. Up next is Piplup. Mamoru is primed and ready for this, and after 1 turn of growth, we're able to take out the Piplup with a few absorbs. The experience gained from that battle is just enough for Xylo to reach level 10 and evolve into Cricketune. Barry bolts for Orberg, and we take the time to find our next friend on Route 203, a Shinx that I capture and name Lux. Lux has the hasty nature, increasing speed and decreasing defense. I wasn't too concerned about this, as Luxray is another overused Pokemon by me, and Lux is just here to fill the team out till we come across a friend that hasn't been used. With a full team on hand now, we make our way through the Orberg Gate, our first new area where there are no eligible encounters, and into Orberg City, home of the first gym. Rourke, the leader, isn't in at the moment, so we have to head into the mines to get him to battle us. Little did I know, Rourke actually waits in there for challenges to flex his Rock Smash privileges. What a prick. The team gets some last minute training in, Mamoru and Wukong both reaching level 14, and Wukong evolving into Monferno before we challenge Rourke. Rourke has a level 12 Geodude, a level 12 Onix with Sturdy, and a level 14 Cranidos. My plan is to lead with Mamoru and use as many growths as I can reasonably pull off, and then aim to sweep with Absorb. Rourke uses a Defense Curl, then Stealth Rock, and then continues to spam Defense Curl, allowing Mamoru to get a full 6 growth off. I never imagined we'd be able to do that. With our stats maxed out, 1 Absorb is more than enough to defeat Geodude. Up next is the Onix. Mamoru is fast enough to strike first, Absorb taking it down to 1 health thanks to its Sturdy ability. Rock Throw connects, dealing decent damage but nothing too concerning. Rourke then uses a potion and we follow up with another Absorb, finally taking it out. Last is Rourke's ace, the Cranidos. Having outsped the Onix, I know that Mamoru is faster than Cranidos, and 1 final Absorb echoes the ace. And with that, we easily obtain the first badge. Our level cap increases from 14 to 22, giving us some more room to grow, and we receive TMs for Stealth Rock before heading back towards Jubilife City. Raptare ends up evolving into a Staravia along the way, and we bump into the Professor and Dawn in Jubilife. They're being accosted by a couple of goons in matching uniforms with equally tragic bowl cuts. They definitely talk a big game though, threatening Dawn as collateral damage and all. Not one to shy away from a battle, Dawn and I team up and take the dastardly delinquents down. Along the way to Floroma Town, the gang handles trainers with ease and Lux evolves into a Luxio. Right outside of Floroma, we run into a little girl who lets us know that her dad is being held hostage in the Valley Windworks by even more uniformed goons. Can't wait to run in and clobber more bowl cut heads. The grunt stationed outside the door decides to get cheeky and locks the door behind him after we beat him, which leaves us no choice but to find another set of keys. Before starting the search, I decide to get the encounter for the Valley Windworks out of the way, and we end up finding and catching a Buizel that I nicknamed Boy because of the flotation sack. Boy has the lonely nature, plus attack and minus defense. I'm not too worried about its nature, as Floatzel is another mon I've used a lot and is more of a backup. I head to Floroma Meadow where 2 more bowl cuts are bothering a guy, insisting on getting his honey. If this weren't a Pokemon game, I'd be worried about the implications. When they realize they've been spotted, they choose the simple solution and ensure I stay quiet, ending my journey forever. Just kidding. They challenge me to a battle and get thrashed. The grunts make a run for it and conveniently leave their key behind. The man they harassed offers me his honey as thanks for assisting. Not wanting anything to do with a jar of the man's honey, I decide to head back to the Valley Windworks and battle the commander, Mars. The commanders in these games have a reputation for being fairly difficult fights if you're unprepared. I lead with Lux against Mars' level 14 Zubat and hit it to about half with Thundershock. Zubat uses U-turn, pivoting into her big bad Purugly. Purugly is incredibly fast and can hit hard at this point in the game. I switch into Raptare, using Intimidate to lower Purugly's attack, and start chipping away with Wing Attack. The Oran Berry activates and Raptare's health has gotten pretty low, so I switch into Wukong to finish things off. 1 power-up punch and Mach Punch later and Purugly is down for the count. The Zubat comes back out and is finished by an Ember. Our Lord gains enough experience to reach level 15 and ascends to his ultimate form, HM Slave! I mean B-Barrel. With Team Galactic handled, we can finally move on and head to Route 205. We make our next encounter there, a Shellos that I name Westley. Gastrodon is a Pokemon I've never used, so Wesley is an immediate addition to the main party. I end up swapping out our Lord for Wesley. The power of our Lord is better suited to being an emergency backup after all. Wesley has the mild nature like Raptare, plus special attack and minus defense, much more serviceable here. More importantly, Wesley has Storm Drain, which completely negates damage from water type attacks and boosts its special attack stat. I don't usually place too much emphasis on the abilities, but this one is too good not to get excited about. The team continues to kick butt and we make our way to Eterna Forest. Here we run into Cheryl, a timid trainer that wants some help making it through with her Chansey. Being the stand-up guy that I am, I happily oblige. We continue to mop the floor with trainers and make our next encounter, a Murkrow. Honchkrow is another Pokemon I've never used, but have always liked. This is one dapper Mafia burb. Because of Cheryl tagging along, every battle is a double battle, so we have to knock out the Mon we don't want as well as Chansey, just to prevent her from knocking Murkrow out. We successfully nab the Murkrow, an encounter that's only possible at night mind you, and name him Capone. Capone's got the impish nature, plus defense and minus special attack. Not the best, but not the worst. I end up swapping out Xylo to make room for Capone. You had a nice run, buddy. We may be relying on you later.
My Pokemon got poisoned and now it can't battle.
That's rough, buddy.
We finally make it to Eterna City, and after a very brief stint in the underground, we head for the gym. Gardenia requires you to battle all of the trainers before you can challenge her, so it serves as a good opportunity for Capone to catch up. With one fire and two flying types, none of the trainers pose a threat. Before long, all of the trainers are defeated. Wukong and Raptare both reach the current cap of 22, with the others not far behind. We head to Gardenia and make our challenge. Gardenia has a level 19 Cherubi and Turtwig, and her ace is a powerful level 22 Roserade. We have several options on how to approach this battle, but I decide to lead with Wukong here. I use Power Up Punch to boost our attack, while Cherubi counters with Dazzling Gleam for a small chunk of damage. I go for a second Power Up Punch, raising our attack once more and knocking Cherubi out as well. Up next is Turtwig, who goes down to our +2 stab boosted Flame Wheel. Gardenia brings out her ace now, the Roserade. I'm hoping that I'm fast enough to avoid getting hit by the stun spore that it carries, but Roserade is too quick and manages to paralyze us. Wukong isn't having any of it, and the Flame Wheel connects, knocking it out in one hit. Second badge acquired, even more easily than the first. The level cap increases from 22 to 30, and we receive the TMs for Grass Knot. Our business in Eterna isn't finished yet, however. There's a Galactic base here, and that means trouble. Before we can even get inside their base, however, we have a quick conversation with a mysterious trainer who goes by the name Cynthia, someone we definitely haven't ever met before. No, never met before. Anyway, she gives us access to the cut ability, and now we can infiltrate this base proper. After bonking some Galactic grunts on the head, we make it to the top floor where we have our second encounter with the commander. This time we're facing Jupiter. Jupiter is even more threatening than Mars was at this stage of the game. She also has a Zubat, but the real threat comes in the form of her Skuntank. It's capable of dishing out serious damage with Flamethrower and can poison with Poison Gas. It has the ability Aftermath, which deals a percentage of damage to an attacker that makes it faint if it used a contact move, and it's carrying a Citrus Berry to boot. I lead with Capone, who recently learned Pluck via a TM we received in Floroma Town, while she leads with Zubat. Pluck is going to be essential to our success in this battle. We strike first with Pluck, as Zubat attempts and misses a Supersonic. One more Pluck finishes the Zubat off. Next up is the big bad, Skuntank. I start by attacking with Nightshade, and Skuntank retaliates with a powerful Flamethrower, doing just under half. I use Pluck on the next turn, stealing the Citrus Berry. Skuntank uses Flamethrower again, lowering us to just over a third, and activating the Oran Berry that I had Capone hold. Capone hits with Nightshade, taking Skuntank into the red, and another Flamethrower connects, dropping us down to just 9 HP. One more Nightshade seals the deal, and avoids the aftermath damage that would have knocked us out otherwise. We were hard pressed for options on how to approach that battle, so I'm thankful that Capone was able to do so well there. We get a bike for helping the shopkeep out, and quickly grab our next encounter on Route 211, a Chingling that I name Racket. Racket's got the bold nature, plus defense and minus attack. Chingling starts out as a Sinnohmon, but its evolution Chimecho is a Hoenmon, so we'd have to keep it in its current state to be able to use it at all. Our next destination is Veilstone City, home of the third gym. On the way there, we catch Bronzor on Route 206 and name it Dotaku, the name of the bells Bronzong is based on. I've never used a Bronzong before, so it becomes a mainstay on the team, replacing Lux. Dotaku has the mild nature and also has the Levitate ability, making it immune to ground-type attacks. We briefly run into a weirdo as we pass through Mount Coronet for the first time. Definitely going to run into him again later. The team is able to easily defeat tons of trainers as we progress through to Hearthome City, the location of the 5th gym. We can't challenge Fantina in there yet, but there is an ambush here. Barry waits for you to turn in the direction of the next route gate, and then he pounces, challenging you whether you're ready or not. I had no idea he challenges you right there in Diamond and Pearl, as my only experiences in Sinnoh were through Platinum, but fortunately we were ready. His Starly goes down to Wesley's Ancient Power, sped up by a Quick Claw. He brings out a Roselia next, so we pivot into Wukong and burst it down with Flame Wheel, after taking minimal damage by a Magical Leaf. Next up is Barry's Prinplup. I switch back into Wesley as Prinplup sets up Stealth Rock. It then goes for an unexpected Grass Knot while we hit with Mud Slap to lower its accuracy. It continues to use Grass Knot while we counter with Ancient Power. Wesley's Quick Claw activates, letting us get our Ancient Power in before getting hit by Grass Knot. I decide to stay in for one more turn to use Ancient Power, but Prinplup uses Bubble Beam instead, causing our Storm Drain to kick in and raise our special attack. Nice. The Quick Claw activates once more as I use Recover, and Prinplup then misses the Grass Knot. The Quick Claw activates for the 4th time this battle, and Mud Slap finishes the Prinplup. A crazy performance by Wesley. Ponyta comes in last and is taken out by a +1 Stab Water Pulse. With Barry dealt with, we continue through to Salacion and eventually make it to Veilstone City. Mamoru even evolves into Roselia, and our team is either at or dangerously close to the level cap. We still have 4 trainers to deal with in the gym as we clear up the puzzle. Not wanting anyone to go over the limit, I make the decision to temporarily box some of our friends and have other people battle. At first, only Capona's boxed for Lux to pop back in, as the others still had some room to grow. Wesley ends up evolving as a result of this, but with everyone from the main team except for Dotaku now halfway to level 31, I have to make more substitutions. Xylo, our Lord, and even Racket make an appearance while Wukong, Mamoru, and Raptare hang out in the box, and the B team's first mini-arc begins. No one was prepared for what came next though. After taking a Leer, the enemy Machoke nails Lux with a Bulldoze, knocking it out in one hit. Our first loss of the run, and we're devastated. Dotaku finishes the job in honor of the Fallen, and we eventually take the rest of the trainers out. The B team retires, and the main team challenges Maylene, our Heart's Dark. Maylene is actually an incredibly difficult trainer to battle with these many constraints. She has a level 27 Meditite and Machoke, and a level 30 Lucario, a powerful and versatile Pokemon. The only feasible strategy I was able to come up with based on our team and stats was to lead with Wukong and use Power Up Punch and sweep with Flame Wheel or Mach Punch while it holds a Metronome. The Metronome item boosts the power of a move when it is used in succession. Coupling that with the boost from Power Up Punch seemed to be the only way to win, provided nothing went wrong. Lucario is capable of one-shotting everybody else. As planned, I start with Power Up Punch, and Meditite sets up a light screen. I don't mind this one bit as we're aiming for a physical sweep, not a special one. I hit another Power Up Punch, getting a crit, and Meditite uses Flash. Shit. The accuracy drop can ruin the entire play if I miss even one move. Maylene uses a Hyper Potion, and at +2, I switch over to Flame Wheel, hoping to rack up the power boost from the Metronome. We end up missing it, and I'm starting to think we might be doomed. I try again and it connects and one-shots the Meditite. Machoke is up next. I use Flame Wheel on it, and it unfortunately doesn't knock the Machoke out. Machoke uses Rock Tomb, lowering our speed. Not good. Between the accuracy drop and the speed drop, Lucario is definitely faster than we are and can one-shot us now that our health isn't full. I switch to Mach Punch as Maylene uses another Hyper Potion. This is good for us as I have a chance to boost its power by hitting it on Machoke twice before knocking it out. All that's left now is to see how we do against Lucario. I go for Mach Punch and it connects, knocking Lucario out. The plan works perfectly despite some hiccups in the middle, and now we have our 3rd badge. This one's for you, Lux. Now you might have noticed that the level cap hasn't changed. That isn't an accident. In these games, Maylene and Crasher Wake can be challenged interchangeably, and their teams are set to be identical in level. After beating Maylene, however, a majority of the main team leveled up to 31, meaning that they cannot be used until after defeating Wake. It's time for the B team's first major arc. Everyone but Dotaku is deposited for the time being, and we bring our Lord, Xylo, Boy, and Racket back out. Our destination is Pastoria City, where we can challenge and hopefully defeat Crasher Wake. Before leaving Veilstone, we quickly help Dawn out. She somehow dropped her Pokédex and a Galactic Grunt managed to snatch it. Way to go, Dawn. Way to go. With that detour out of the way, we're able to proceed to the next route. We make our next encounter on this route, a Stunky that I catch and name Le Pew. Twitter might have cancelled the character, but I can still appreciate a cultural icon. Skuntank is another Pokemon that I've never used, so Lepieu will be a mainstay on the team even after the B team's arc wraps up. Lepieu has the adamant nature, plus attack and minus special attack. This is an amazing nature to have since Skuntank learns a pretty wide array of physical moves. The B team makes a surprisingly powerful showing as we progress through to Pastoria City, taking trainers on with little to no difficulty. We make it to Pastoria before long and I head straight to the Great Marsh to make our next encounter. We end up finding and catching a Carnivine of all things, which I dub Piranha Plant, P-Plant for short. The grass-type Carnivine is a huge addition to the team ahead of the water-type gym. P-Plant has the relaxed nature, plus defense and minus speed. The B team gets some training in ahead of the gym, and I head over to challenge Crasher Wake. Wake has a deceptively powerful team, carrying a level 27 Gyarados and Quagsire, and a level 30 Floatzel. P-Plant can handle Quagsire handily, but Gyarados takes neutral damage from Grass-type moves due to its partial flying typing. Floatzel knows Ice Fang, which hits Grass-type super effectively too. I decide to teach our Lord Thunderbolt via TM obtained in Veilstone's department store specifically for the Gyarados. The plan is to knock out Gyarados with our Lord, take Quagsire out quickly with P-Plant, and then play around Raptare's Intimidate ability to safely defeat Floatzel. With the plan set, we begin the battle. I lead with our Lord and Wake leads with Gyarados. Gyarados is faster and hits us with Crunch, doing just under half, and we use Thunderbolt, dealing around half as well. Crunch hits again, taking us down to just 14 health and activating our Citrus Berry. The second Thunderbolt knocks Gyarados out. Up next is Quagsire, so I switch into P-Plant. Levitate causes Quagsire's Mudshot to miss, making it a free switch. One Grass Knot obliterates the Quagsire and Wake sends in his ace, Floatzel. Predicting an Ice Fang, I switch Dotuka in to take a resisted hit. I try to go for Hypnosis here to give us some breathing room, but Floatzel goes for super effective Bite, taking us down to about a quarter and getting the flinch. Damn. I switch into Lepieu expecting another Bite, but Floatzel uses Brine instead, and Lepieu gets nailed for more than half. I have no choice but to switch into Raptare to get the Intimidate off at this point. Floatzel goes for Aqua Jet as we switch in, dealing reduced damage after the attack drop. I switch into Xylo to tank the incoming Ice Fang, and then use Struggle Bug after getting hit by an Aqua Jet to lower its special attack as well, reducing Brine's damage. I switch into Raptare again for another attack drop, and taking a Brine to a third. This is probably as good as it'll get without risking a KO, so I switch into P-Plant. Floatzel uses Brine on the switch and unfortunately gets a crit, lowering P-Plant's health far more than it would have otherwise. An Ice Fang connects next, lowering us into Citrus Berry range, and we hit hard with Vine Whip. Floatzel uses a Citrus Berry of its own and goes for one final Ice Fang. A crit might have taken us out here, but Floatzel isn't that lucky and goes down to our final Vine Whip. Absolutely amazing moves by the underleveled B team, and now we have 4 badges. The level cap increases again finally, going from 30 to 36, and Wake gives us the TM for Brine. The main team is now fully assembled with Wukong, Lepieu, Wesley, Capone, Mamoru, and Dotaku on the team, all Pokemon I've rarely or never used. We notice a bowl cut talking about terrorism and decide to investigate. Before we can get too far into our chase, Barry pops up and challenges us to a battle. He doesn't put up much of a fight this time, each of his Pokemon going down fairly easily. Now, what was I doing again? Alright, the terrorist. We chase him down and beat him soundly. It sounds like he has plans for the lake, but we're unable to get in. The enigmatic Cynthia is also denied entry, but gives us a potion to cure some Psyduck that are blocking off access to the rest of Route 210 and Celestic Town. With the potion, we're able to clear the way. After using the potion, Cynthia shows up again and asks us to deliver a charm to her grandma in Celestic Town. Considering she provided us the potion and is now handing us the charm, it's clear she isn't too fond of Granny, otherwise she'd have done it all herself. Oh well, more experience for the team. Dotuka evolves into the Stalwart Bronzong, and Lepieu ups its Stink Game and evolves into Skuntank before we reach Celestic Town. Once there, we meet up with Cynthia's grandma, who lets us know about the odd spaceman near the ruins. Wukong makes short work of this grunt and ends up evolving into Infernape. With the charm delivered, we can finally head straight for Fantina. Lepieu and Capone are both perfect for the Ghost-type gym as they're both Dark-type. The only strategy is to power through as quickly as possible. Fantina battles with a level 32 Drifblim, a level 34 Gengar, and a level 36 Mismagius, a terrifying team for the unprepared. Nothing for it but to try. I lead with Capone and Drifblim comes out first. We hit hard with Assurance, but it just wasn't enough to knock it out. Drifblim retaliates with Will-O-Wisp. Oh man, a burn completely cripples Capone. Fantina uses a Hyper Potion and we switch to Nightshade. I decide to bring out Lepieu here as Drifblim hits us with Hex. That would have done massive damage to Capone due to its burn. Lepue's bite is more than enough to take Drifblim out on the next turn. We take some damage from Aftermath, but Lepue is still relatively healthy here. Next up is Gengar. Gengar outspeeds us and uses Confuse Ray. Lepue hits itself, dropping a half, so I decide to switch into Wesley. Dazzling Gleam connects for a chunk of damage, but I'm confident that Wesley can power through. It hits us again and we return fire with Brine, taking it to under half. A third Dazzling Gleam drops Wesley to 27 HP, but the second Brine finishes the job. Curse Body activates, disabling Brine. Last is Mismagius. Mismagius is an incredibly fast special attacker and can learn a diverse array of moves, including Magical Leaf. I switch into Mamoru here, predicting Magical Leaf, and guessed correctly. I aim to paralyze and reduce Mismagius' speed with Stun Spore, but Mismagius uses Phantom Force and disappears this turn. Knowing it's faster, I take the hit and land the Stun Spore this time around. Now that it's paralyzed, Mamoru can outspeed and I go for Giga Drain to recover some of the damage dealt. Mismagius is unable to act this turn, which is amazing for us. I use Giga Drain again, and the ghost is fully paralyzed again. I can't believe how lucky I'm getting, this usually never happens. Mismagius' health is low, so Fantina uses a Hyper Potion while we continue the offense with Giga Drain. 2 drains later and Mismagius fails to act for the 3rd time. We use Giga Drain one last time and defeat Fantina, earning the 5th gym badge. The level cap only jumps up by 3 levels this time to 39, leaving us with little room to grow. I decide to tackle the gym immediately in Canalave City. Byron is a Steel type user, so between Wukong and Wesley, this gym is toast. Alright, this guy. I guess we ought to battle Barry first. I lead with Capone against the Staravia. Intimidate lowers our attack, but with the level gap, I figure Capone can still handle it easily. Pluck does just under half, and Staravia does the same, dealing even less. Capone's Assurance just barely misses the KO, and Staravia uses Endeavor, dropping us to 3 HP. Wait a minute, you're supposed to be bad at this, Barry. I switch into Dotaka and get notified that Staravia's Quick Claw is activating. Yikes. Did someone switch Barry out with a competent double when I wasn't looking? Staravia's Quick Attack does minimal damage. I go for Extra Sensory to finish the job, but Staravia outspeeds us and uses Endeavor, taking Dotaka down to 3 HP as well. Well played, Barry! Heracross comes in next. I switch into Wukong, who takes the Brick Break fairly well. Flame Wheel KOs in one hit, and Prinplup is next. Mamoru comes out and cleans things up with a Giga Drain, negating any damage that the Brine dealt on the switch-in. Ponyta's up next, so I switch Wesley in. Ponyta uses Growl, lowering our attack. The Quick Claw activates and Brine decimates the Ponyta. Last is Roselia. Lepia comes in and takes it out with a Night Slash. The battle ended in typical fashion, but Barry showed some unexpected proficiency at the start. With him out of the way, we can head to the gym. Byron has a level 36 Bronzor and Steelix, and his ace is a level 39 Bastiodon. Just like with Fantina, the goal is to just steamroll with good type matchups and adjust if necessary. I lead with Lepue against his Bronzor. Night Slash is 1 HP short of a KO, and Bronzor sets up Trick Room, inverting speed. Byron uses full restore as we go for another Night Slash, failing to KO again. Byron uses a Hyper Potion this time, and Night Slash misses the mark again. This time, Byron sets up a Sandstorm before we take it out with a 4th Night Slash. On the bright side, all of those turns helped whittle down the Trick Room. Byron sends out Steelix and I switch into Wesley. Wesley takes huge damage from an Earthquake and the Trick Room ends. I switch into Dotaku, avoiding the second Earthquake. I go for Hypnosis, hoping that I can switch Wesley back in to recover while Steelix snoozes. I switch back into Wesley, and the Steelix immediately wakes up, but uses Thunderfang, which fortunately doesn't affect the partial ground type. The Sandstorm subsides and I switch into Dotaku, correctly predicting another Earthquake. Time to try this Hypnosis plan again. It lands and I decide to set up Stealth Rock this time, to break the impending Bastiodon's Sturdy ability. Steelix stays asleep, so I decide to bring Wesley in again. Steelix wakes up on this turn and uses Sandstorm. Gimme a break! Here comes Dotaka again, dodging the Quake. We land our 3rd Hypnosis, which is a feat in and of itself, and switch into Wesley on the next turn. Steelix stays asleep this time though, yay! Wesley uses Recover, but Steelix wakes up and slams us with Earthquake down to 17 HP. I switch into Dotaku yet again. The Earthquake is avoided, so I go for Hypnosis and miss. Shit. Thunderfang from Steelix does a sliver of damage. I'm annoyed at this point and decide to use Extra Sensory, and Steelix uses Sandstorm again. I'm surprised at how much damage Extra Sensory deals, so I decide to switch into Wesley. Wesley ignores the Thunderfang and we go for Earth Power, knocking the Steelix out. I ended up wasting a lot of time trying to get Wesley out to recover and 2-hit KO the Steelix since it has Sturdy, but I could have saved a lot of time by using Extrasensory sooner and playing around the predictability of the Earthquakes and Thunderfangs. Oh well. Last in line is the Bastiodon. I use Recover while Bastiodon uses Iron Defense, and on the next turn, Earth Power one-shots Byron's Ace. What was supposed to be a breeze ended up being an annoying battle, but we have Badge 6 at last. We received the TMs for Flash Cannon, and the level cap makes another small jump to 42. On the way out, Barry lets us know that the professor wants to talk to us in the library. He wants each of us to head to the 3 lakes spread throughout Sinnoh to investigate the lake spirit that resides there. That act of terrorism that we investigated and failed to follow through on finally occurs, as the region is rocked by an explosion. It's time to knock some bowl cuts around. I head to Lake Valor, which is now completely dried up. We defeat all of the grunts along the way to the cavern where we meet and challenge the 3rd commander, Saturn. Saturn's team puts up little resistance. Lepew defeats the level 35 Bronzor, and Wesley takes out the level 37 Toxicroak and level 35 Kadabra. We head to Lake Verity next. It looks like Dawn is unsuccessful at making any positive contributions again, so we challenge Mars ourselves. Mars is much more manageable this time around, as the Golbat, Bronzor, and Perugly go down without too much trouble. The only lake left to check is Lake Acuity at the top of Sinnoh. We make our way through Mount Coronet to Route 216 where we meet our next encounter, a Sneasel. Unfortunately, we knock the Sneasel out, locking one of our very few eligible encounters out. It wouldn't have been my playthrough without an idiotic mistake in there somewhere. The main team has already hit the level cap, so it's time for the B team to make another appearance. We bring out Raptare, our lord, Xylo, Boy, and P-Plant to continue the trek to Lake Acuity. The B team is a bit underleveled for the trainers leading up to Lake Acuity and in the Snow Point Gym, so we decide to make a detour to Iron Island. Iron Island is also the location of the Shiny Stone, the item needed to evolve Mamoru into Roserade, so it was essential that we stop here anyway. Boy evolves into a Floatzel, and Raptare evolves into a Staraptor, and we receive a Riolu egg from Riley, the trainer we teamed up with to explore the cave. With the team buffed up, we head to Lake Acuity. The lakefront entrance is being blocked off at the moment, so we head to the Snow Point City Gym and defeat the trainers inside. With the trainers out of the way, the main team makes their return to the party. We evolve Mamoru using the Shiny Stone and challenge Candace. Candace uses a level 38 Snover and Sneasel, a level 40 Medicham for some reason, and a level 42 Abomasnow. If any of the gyms were going to be a joke in this challenge, it'd be this one. Wukong solos this gym effortlessly. Snover goes down to Flame Wheel. Sneasel is knocked out by Mach Punch. Medicham is taken out by a combination of Flame Wheel and Hail because it seemed to only want to use Bulk Up, and Abomasnow is melted by Flame Wheel as well. Badge 7 acquired. The level cap increases to 49, giving the team some much needed breathing room given the events to come. We head to Lake Acuity now that the grunts aren't blocking it off. Here we find Barry speaking to Jupiter. Barry lost. Nothing new there. Jupiter doesn't challenge us next though, and leaves. We head straight to their main base of operations, the imposing building in Veilstone City. The first thing we do is grab the Dusk Stone in the storage room and use it to evolve Capone into the big boss, Honchcrow. With this evolution, the main team is now fully realized. We storm the base hard and make it to the leader of the organization, Cyrus, that weirdo we ran into in Mount Coronet ages ago. He challenges us to a battle, and although we win easily, it feels like he was holding back. Cyrus lets us know that we can free the Lake Trio that he retrieved, as he has no use for them any longer. We go to do just that, but are challenged by Saturn. He goes down as easily as he did the first time, and we're able to set Uxie, Mespert, and Azel free. Saturn lets us know about the red chain that Cyrus crafted, and tells us where to go next, Mount Coronet. We ascend the mountain and make it to Spear Pillar, ready to confront Cyrus. Before we can even attempt to stop Cyrus, we have to deal with Mars and Jupiter. Barry shows up just in time to help me take the commanders down. This battle isn't terrible on its own, but we have to battle Cyrus immediately afterwards, so we have to pick a lead that can handle the start of both battles well. I decide to lead with Dotaku. Its defensive ability is going to be crucial. Mars and Jupiter lead with Bronzor, and Barry starts with Munchlax. I go for Stealth Rock immediately, while the Bronzor both use Payback on us. Munchlax starts chipping away at the Bronzor with Bite. I use the next couple of turns to set up Light Screen, followed by Reflect, continuing to take paybacks. With my screens up, I bring out Capone. The resisted payback attacks do next to nothing, and Munchlax knocks out Jupiter's Bronzor. Skuntank comes out next, and I go for Thief, stealing its Citrus Berry. Skuntank uses Poison Gas, poisoning us both, and Bronzor uses Gyro Ball on Capone for minimal damage thanks to the Reflect. I use Steel Wing on the Skuntank, who hits Munchlax with Flamethrower, doing minimal damage due to Light Screen. Bronzor uses Gyro Ball again on Capone, and Munchlax hits Skuntank hard with Body Slam. The poison chip damage brings us to about half, activating the stolen Citrus Berry. Thief takes Mars's Bronzor out, while Skuntank continues to whittle away at Munchlax with Flamethrower. Munchlax uses Bite, which does next to nothing. Come on, Barry, now isn't the time for you to be, well, you. Up next is Mars's Purugly, who enters and hits Capone with Body Slam, taking Capone to around half again. Capone's Thief deals good damage to Purugly, and we steal its Citrus Berry as well, healing with it immediately. Skuntank hits Munchlax with another Flamethrower, but Munchlax rises to the occasion and finishes Skuntank off with Body Slam. Jupiter sends out Golbat, and I switch Lapua in, not wanting to risk Capone here. Purugly's Body Slam does about a fifth to Lapua, and Golbat knocks Munchlax out with a Sludge Bomb. Our light screen fades, and Barry brings his Ponyta into the battle. Purugly uses Dig, burrowing underground. Not a good move for either of our Pokemon to take. Lapua's Night Slash misses since Purugly is below ground, and Golbat hits Ponyta with a critical Sludge Bomb, while Ponyta uses Agility, beefing up its speed. Reflect fades this turn, so I switch into Wesley in case Purugly was targeting Lapua. Ponyta hits a Flame Wheel on Golbat, but it turns out Purugly targeted Ponyta, who goes down to the Dig. Golbat wastes a turn here going for Haze. Barry's Staraptor comes in next, and Wesley's Quick Claw activates, allowing Ice Beam to come out burst and knock out the Golbat. Jupiter is down and out, and Purugly hits Wesley hard with Body Slam. Staraptor finishes Purugly off with a close combat, leaving only Mars's Golbat. Staraptor uses Double Team, and Golbat hits us with a weak U-turn. We just barely missed the KO with Ice Beam, but a Quick Claw Quick Attack, try saying that 5 times quickly, finishes the Golbat off on the next turn. With the commanders out of the way, Barry heals us up and we can challenge Cyrus and put an end to his awful plan. In typical Pokevillain fashion, their plan fails and they take it out on us in a battle. The battle in Veilstone was just a precursor to this one. Cyrus's team here is much more threatening. Since Do took the lead against the commanders, it's out first here as well. Cyrus leads with a Honchkrow. I considered using a turn to set up Rocks or a Reflect, but decide to play it safer and bring Lapua out. Lapua gets hit by a resisted Night Slash, taking about a quarter due to a crit. I use Toxic, and Honchkrow goes for Defog, lowering our evasiveness. I switch into Capone this time for the mirror match, and Capone gets ravaged by a critical air cutter on the switch. We use Thief, stealing a Scope Lens, which explains the increase in critical hits. Cyrus's Honchkrow uses Defog again. The chip damage from Toxic takes Honchkrow down to a quarter, but Cyrus uses a full restore, healing to full and removing the ailment while Capone uses Roost. I use Fly on the next turn and avoid the air cutter. We get a crit of our own when Fly connects, likely due to the Scope Lens we stole, and Honchkrow uses Defog again. Steel Wing finishes the job on the next turn. Cyrus sends out a Gyarados next, and I switch into Wesley. Gyarados does decent damage with an Ice Fang. On the next turn, Cyrus makes the same mistake Barry would, and uses Waterfall, activating Storm Drain. I try to apply a burn here by using Scald, but it doesn't happen. Gyarados does big damage with Earthquake, and we use Scald again, getting the burn this time, and cutting Gyarados' attack. Earthquake hits with half as much power as before, and Wesley is able to recover, shrugging off most of the damage taken till now. I use Recover a second time to maximize the HP we have going into the next Pokemon, as Gyarados continues to quake. Gyarados uses one final Ice Fang before being taken out by an Ice Beam on the next turn. Up next is Weavile. I go for Earth Power and Weavile goes for Dig, outspeeding us and causing us to miss. On the next turn, the Quick Claw activates, which means Weavile is still underground and our second Earth Power misses. Weavile resurfaces and does a lot of damage. Weavile heads underground again, causing a third Earth Power to miss. Weavile hits for another big chunk, taking us to 39 HP, but I go for Recover this time. Weavile burrows again, and we miss a Scald this time, hoping the Quick Claw would activate at a more opportune time. Dig takes us to about a third, and Scald connects for big damage and burning too. Weavile continues to be annoying and burrows again, but I use Recover. On the next turn, the Quick Claw activates at the wrong time once more, causing Scald to miss, and Dig hits for much less now that Weavile is burned. Another Dig and Scald misses, and the Quick Claw activates again. I use Recover this time, so it doesn't matter that Weavile is still underground. This item is starting to feel cursed though. I end up letting Weavile go down to chip damage from the burn, as that was really starting to wear on my psyche. Cyrus's final Pokemon is a Crobat. It uses U-turn, not dealing much, and it lives on a sliver after taking an Ice Beam. Crobat and Wesley's Quick Claw both activate, making the turn order normal, and Crobat hits us with a crit air cutter before finally being felled by Ice Beam. A bit of a nuisance thanks to Dig and Quick Claw shenanigans, but a manageable battle in the end. Cyrus waxes on about his ambitions to become a deity before peacing out for good. Don and the professor show up and deduce that Dialga wants to battle us. I do what any normal trainer would do and throw a quick ball. Hey, it does fall under the constraints of my Nuzlocke rulings. The team collectively works to reduce Dialga's HP while keeping themselves alive, and after 2 more Ultra Balls, this ancient deity is caught. Don't worry, I'm not going to use the thing, except maybe to bully some trainers in my spare time. Now that Dialga's been caught, and Team Galactic is dealt with, I'm finally able to head to Sunny Shore City and challenge the 8th gym. Volkner allegedly runs an electric-type gym, but his team consists of a level 46 Raichu, a level 47 Ambipom and Octillery, and a level 49 Luxray. Only half of his team fits the type. I don't really have much of a strategy here, aside from the obvious usage of Wesley, so I start the battle with Wesley in the lead. Volkner leads with his Raichu, and tries to use Nuzzle on the first turn. Bear in mind that this is the trainer who's apparently bored of battling weak trainers, and he's trying to use electric moves on a ground type. Wesley goes for Earth Power, but Raichu's Shuka Berry is activated, reducing the damage dealt. Raichu then goes for Surf. Big mistake. Storm Drain kicks in, and the +1 stab Earth Power destroys Raichu. The normal type Ambipom is sent out next. It hits us hard with a Technician boosted Fake Out, causing Wesley to flinch. On the next turn, it uses Double Hit, taking Wesley down to a quarter before being taken out by Scald. Volkner brings out his Octillery next. I take the chance to go for Recover, and Octillery uses Focus Energy, boosting its critical hit ratio. With the Sniper ability, critical hits deal even more damage. Octillery's Aurora Beam hits us for massive damage due to a crit, and Earth Power fails to KO even at +1. After some deliberation, I bring Wukong out to tank an Aurora Beam and outspeed it for the KO, but Volkner uses a full restore. Oh crap. I switch into Mamoru, expecting the Water-type Octazooka next. The affection I've shown my friends throughout the journey starts to kick in, and Mamoru dodges the attack. Octazooka has 85 accuracy as it is, so the likelihood of it missing was already there. Mamoru's Giga Drain is an OHKO on the next turn, leaving Volkner with only his ace, Luxray. Mamoru takes Luxray to around half with Sludge Bomb and poisoning it too, and Luxray hits back with an Ice Fang. I use Synthesis on the next turn to heal up and let the poison chip damage lowered enough to guarantee a KO on our next attack, and Luxray uses Iron Tail, taking us back to around half. A final Sludge Bomb knocks Luxray down, and we have successfully gathered all 8 Sinnoh gym badges. The level cap makes its final leap all the way up to 62, the average level of the Elite Four and Champions Ace Pokémon. The team takes some time to train on the way through the Victory Road into the Pokémon League. Before we can take on the Gauntlet, Barry issues one final challenge. He's been easy to beat thus far, and I expect this battle to be no different. Barry leads with Staraptor, and I lead with Dotaku. Close combat hits us for 50 points of damage, and we set up Reflect. Staraptor sets up Rain Dance next, and we set up Stealth Rock. With Reflect up, subsequent uses of close combat deal much less, and Psychic takes Staraptor down to 1 HP, holding on thanks to a Focus Sash. It manages to take us down to 34 HP as we set up Light Screen and knock it out with a second Psychic. Barry sends out Snorlax, and I switch into Capone. Snorlax attempts a Yawn attack, which fails due to Capone's Insomnia ability. A Black Glasses boosted Night Slash almost knocks Snorlax out with a critical hit, and Snorlax steals the glasses with Covet. Barry pivots into Heracross, who takes good, albeit resisted damage from another critical Night Slash. Reflect fades on this turn, and Capone goes for Fly. Heracross actually outspeeds us and goes for a Rock Slide, which misses. In the air, Rock Slide misses again, and the quad super effective Fly finishes Heracross off. Rapidash is next, and I decide to bring Wukong out, aiming to clear things up with him. Megahorn misses the mark, and Light Screen fades. Wukong's freshly learned Earthquake destroys Rapidash, and Barry brings Snorlax back out. Earthquake finishes Snorlax off, who was hanging on by a thread after Stealth Rock damage. Barry brings out his starter, the imposing Empoleon. Since Wukong is holding the Metronome, successive uses of Earthquake have increased its power, so I go for a third despite the type matchup, expecting it to OHKO. It just barely misses the mark, and my heart drops. Empoleon uses Charm though, completely wasting the opportunity. One more Quake finishes it off, and Barry brings out his last Pokemon, Roserade. Flamethrower cleans things up nicely, and Barry is defeated again. Affection is starting to creep into the battles a lot now that we've come so far together. There were several instances where the occurrence either didn't matter, like the critical hit Fly on Heracross, or they were dubious at best, like the inaccurate Megahorn missing on Infernape. It's undeniable that the mechanic can make things easier though. For the first time ever, the team still has a little bit of room to grow until they reach the cap, so we get some training done ahead of the challenge. With everyone leveled up to 62, we're ready to tackle the final hurdle. Aaron is the first member of the Elite Four that will battle, a Bug-type specialist. Aaron battles with a level 53 Dustox and Beautifly, level 54 Vespiquen and Heracross, and a level 57 Drapion, which isn't actually a bug type. My plan here is to use Wukong's Metronome and Flamethrower to sweep. The Metronome will build power up to the point that Drapion goes down in one hit, despite not being weak to fire-type attacks. The plan goes off without a hitch, and Wukong is able to knock out Dustox, Beautifly, Vespiquen, and Heracross in one hit. Drapion comes out next, and amazingly, it outspeeds us and hits us with an Earthquake for massive damage. Drapion has the Sniper ability and is holding a Scope Lens. If it had crit us, Wukong would have been knocked out there. The Flamethrower connects and obliterates Drapion, and Aaron is defeated. All Aaron needed to do was bring Drapion out sooner, and Flamethrower likely wouldn't have been enough. It seems that certain trainers are required to send their aces out last though, and I anticipated as much. Next in line is Old Lady Bertha, the Ground-type user. Bertha battles with a level 55 Quagsire and Whiscash, a level 56 Sudowoodo and Golem, and her ace, a level 59 Hippowdon. Between Mamoru and Wesley, we have this team covered. I lead with Mamoru as she leads with Quagsire. I don't expect it to be able to deal much damage, so I go for Growth to boost our special attack. Quagsire goes for Earthquake, and Mamoru dodges it due to Affection. Giga Drain deletes Quagsire immediately afterwards. There was no way the Earthquake was going to knock Mamoru out, but a Big Root boosted Giga Drain would have offset any damage taken anyway. Bertha's Whiscash and Sudowoodo meet the same fate, both of them too slow to act before Mamoru can. Golem comes out next, and I use Sludge Bomb for minimal damage, knowing that it has Sturdy and would likely hit us for decent damage that I could offset with Giga Drain afterwards. Golem's Earthquake is also affectionately dodged, and Giga Drain knocks it out. Bertha's ace is sent in next, but has no hope of defeating Mamoru, who takes it out with one more Giga Drain. With Bertha out of the way, it's time to challenge Flint, the Fire-type trainer. Because of Diamond and Pearl's terrible distribution of Pokemon, Flint's team is comprised of a level 58 Rapidash and Drifblim, a level 57 Steelix and Lopunny, and his ace is a level 61 Infernape. Only 2 of his 5 Pokemon are actually Fire types. With that being said, he actually has a strong team here. Flint starts the battle with Rapidash, and I lead with Wesley. Wesley's Quick Claw activates right away, and Earth Power knocks Rapidash out. Lopunny is brought out next. I pivot into Wukong. My plan is to get dropped into Blaze range if possible, using Workup and then switching to Flamethrower in order to eliminate Lopunny, Drifblim, and Steelix in one hit. Lopunny's high jump kick doesn't do much on the switch. I start using Workup, and Lopunny's second high jump kick misses, causing it to take big recoil damage. It uses its leftovers to recover some, and I continue to use Workup. High jump kick connects this time, and takes us to around half. Not quite in Blaze range, but I don't want to risk getting crit, so I switch to Flamethrower. We get a crit, which I don't think mattered at +2, taking Lopunny out. Steelix and Drifblim both go down in one hit, as planned, leaving Flint with just his own Infernape. Flint's Infernape has Iron Fist, and knows Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, Close Combat, and Mach Punch. Since Infernape resists Fire Punch, I switch into Mamoru, who resists the other 3 moves. Flint uses Close Combat, which does about a third. More importantly, it lowers its defenses. I switch Wesley in now to take the Fire Punch. I go for Scald, and the Quick Claw activates, allowing us to go first. Scald takes Infernape down to its Focus Sash, and it hits us hard with Close Combat, taking Wesley down to 19 HP. The Quick Claw activates again as we go for Earth Power, but Flint uses a full restore before Infernape is knocked out, no longer holding the Sash. Wesley cut it a little close there, but the plan worked perfectly. We have just one more trainer standing in our way before we can challenge the champion and end this Nuzlocke. Lucian is a Psychic-type user, battling with a level 59 Mr. Mime and Girafarig, a level 60 Medicham and Alakazam, and a level 63 Bronzong. Capone and Lapieu are strong contenders in this battle. Mr. Mime gained the Fairy typing and carries Dazzling Gleam, so Capone can't lead in this battle. Lapieu is a good choice, but doesn't have the raw power to defeat Medicham. I would have to switch into Capone, but a Pure Power high jump kick boosted by a Muscle Band would likely knock Capone out. Because of this dilemma, I decide to lead with Dotaku against Mr. Mime. I set up Stealth Rocks on turn 1, while Mr. Mime uses Light Screen. I then set up a Light Screen of my own while Mr. Mime uses Reflect. I use Reflect next, and Mr. Mime starts chipping away with Dazzling Gleam. With my screens up, I switch into Lapieu, who takes Mr. Mime out with 2 Poison Jabs, taking moderate damage from Dazzling Gleam along the way. Medicham is sent out next, and I switch into Capone. Capone takes a ton of damage from High Jump Kick, even with Reflect up, proving my theory correct. Capone takes to the skies and dodges the second High Jump Kick, causing Medicham to take recoil. Their Light Screen fades, and Capone rains Death from the sky, knocking Medicham out with Fly. Our Light Screen fades next, and their Reflect fades, and Lucian sends out Girafarig. I consider switching, knowing that Girafarig carries Thunderbolt, but decide to stay in and use Night Slash, defeating it in one hit. Alakazam is sent out next, and I do make the switch this time, bringing in Wesley, who takes no damage from Shockwave. Alakazam uses Nasty Plot next, doubling its special attack stat, and Wesley's Earth Power, despite being a crit, isn't enough to knock it out. Alakazam definitely outspeeds the party, and can dish out insane damage after the special attack boost. I pivot into Lepieu, expecting a Psychic attack, or maybe a Future Sight, but Lucian uses a full restore instead. Unsure of how well Lepieu can tank a Shockwave, I go for the priority Sucker Punch and knock Alakazam out. Lucian's ace Bronzong is brought out last, and I switch Dotaka in to avoid an Earthquake. I decide to set up screens while we take payback attacks. With both screens up, I switch into Wukong, and Bronzong uses Trick Room. With speed inverted, Bronzong goes first and hits us with Earthquake, doing less than half thanks to Reflect, and Wukong's Flamethrower fails to secure the kill. It uses its Citrus Berry, and a second Earthquake drops Wukong dangerously low. Wukong's final Flamethrower melts Bronzong, and all 4 of the elite trainers have been defeated. At last, the final battle is at hand. The champion of the Sinnoh region, the enigmatic and powerful Cynthia, dares us to take her on, to take her down. With a level 61 Spiritomb, level 60 Roserade and Gastrodon, level 63 Lucario and Milotic, and a level 66 Garchomp as her ace, Cynthia is far and away the toughest trainer to end this journey on. I lead with Capone to start things off against her Spiritomb. No one on the team is carrying anything particularly effective against Spiritomb, so I had a couple different options on who to lead with. Capone's Night Slash deals roughly a third, and Spiritomb's Dark Pulse does the same. A second Night Slash takes it into Citrus Berry range, which restores it to half. A second Dark Pulse drops Capone fairly low, so we go for Roost on the next turn, and Spiritomb's next Dark Pulse is avoided. Another Night Slash takes Spiritomb to the red, and Shadow Ball connects and reduces our health to half. A critical hit on our end would have been nice to speed things along here, as Cynthia uses a full restore. We continue to take chunks out of Spiritomb with Night Slash, and take it out after being brought down to a third by another Dark Pulse. Milotic is sent into battle, and I switch into Mamoru, who gets slammed to half health by Ice Beam. Milotic's Flame Orb burns her, resulting in Marvel Scale activating and increasing defense. Mamoru restores its health with Giga Drain, dealing just under half, and Milotic returns fire with Ice Beam, taking Mamoru to a third. Giga Drain offsets the damage again, taking Milotic into the red, and Ice Beam drops Mamoru to just 49 HP. Mamoru recovers with Synthesis, and Ice Beam returns us to 49 HP before the burn takes Milotic out. Cynthia ends up sending her Gastrodon out next, which allows us to restore our health to full with a quad super effective Giga Drain. Cynthia sends out her Roserade for the mirror match next. Despite being 5 levels higher, her Roserade outspeeds us and uses a Sludge Bomb, which we avoid. Mamoru uses Growth, boosting its attack stats. Cynthia's Roserade does just over half with Sludge Bomb, and we knock her out with a +1 Sludge Bomb of our own, getting a crit to boot. The crit didn't matter here according to my calculations, as there was a 75% chance for the move to Oko without it. Cynthia's Lucario is next in line, so I pivoted to Wesley, who takes a Flash Cannon really well. Lucario tries to set up with Nasty Plot, and Wesley ignores it and knocks it out with Earth Power. The only Pokemon left in her arsenal is her Garchomp, and we're in a really good position. I keep Wesley in to hit hard with Ice Beam, and the Quick Claw activates, giving us the priority. Garchomp is unfortunately carrying a Yachi Berry, which significantly reduces the damage dealt. Garchomp then hits us with an Earthquake, and Wesley toughs it out so I won't feel sad. Probably the only time I'll ever be grateful for this mechanic. I don't want the second chance to go to waste, so I switch into our tanky boy Dotaka, who avoids the Earthquake. Garchomp starts to hit us with Dragon Claw, and I set up a Reflect to reduce the damage even further. 2 Psychic attacks are all that's needed to finish Garchomp off, and that marks the end of the battle. I'm elated at how well this run went, despite all of the rules we had in play. Forced EXP share and the affection mechanic absolutely stripped the game of difficulty in a normal playthrough, but thanks to level caps and constantly needing to switch the team members around, both of these mechanics didn't get in the way of the challenge. At least until the end, where some artful dodging and toughness saved our hides. It was a lot of fun to play the game this way, and although I didn't make much mention of it here, there are some things about these games that I dislike. Maybe I'll write a review of the games when I get a chance, who knows? I want to thank you for seeing this through to the end. Your support means a lot to me, and I hope you'll join me on my next adventure, whenever or wherever that might be.